actually get into it and understand it. That's the problem. So I'm going to let Toby Morris from Sleepy Dog over in the UK give you another perspective on this.
I think there's a perfect storm which is creating change, and we in this world are perfectly positioned to take advantage of that. And the first one is quite clearly the economy. People are losing customers, are losing their jobs, and they're looking around for new opportunities. They are open in ways that they haven't been before in their mind, number one. Number two is there's a shift from efficiency to innovation within businesses. Mark and I here live in a rag trade town, and it used to be 95% sewing machines, 5% design. Now it's 50% design, 50% import and export. That's an order of magnitude change in the way that we do innovation. Okay, and the third one is that social media is an amplifier of the normal business process, which is social. Whether it's two guys going to play golf or somebody walking past your desk and saying, "Do you want a coffee?" Right? And the fact is, when I have a problem, then I'm going to look round. That meerkat moment where I look round for people that I need to help me with my dumb idea. Now it used to be 3 guys across the desk from me, and now it's 300 people within my network. And social media or conversation is a very fault-tolerant medium for the storage of ideas. It allows ideas to survive while it figure out, and I think the blogosphere has shown us that, and I think, and Twitter beyond.
So that idea that conversation is a fault-tolerant medium for storing ideas really struck me. In fact, when I interviewed him in New York for this clip, literally I spent the next 2 days thinking about what that meant. Because it is so hard to capture all the knowledge that I can give you talking back and forth with you. And in fact, when we look at real conversation, when both people are present and respecting each other and engaged in that conversation and really paying attention to each other, the space between us is where we create understanding. It's not this statement. It's not this soundbite. It's not the one line in a blog post that somebody misconstrues to be offensive or whatever it is. It's that back and forth that allows us to see each other, that allows us to get past our stereotypes. But there's this other thing that's going on, which is that all organizations have always been social, but over the past industrial era in particular, it has also been about power. It's been more about power, it's been more about money than it was about the outputs, in many cases, of the organization. And that's changed. And we're now starting to realize it, and we're starting to go through it. How many people here work in a big company? I'm talking big, like thousands and thousands of employees. Only a handful. The rest of you are either independents or small company people like myself. I've never been able to really work inside large companies because I can't stand the bureaucracy. It's all bullshit, quite honestly. And I'm really tired of it, and I keep running into it, and my friends run into it. But the great thing about this era is that you don't have to put up with it anymore. You can leave. You can find a job where you can connect your passion, your purpose, with your daily life. Yeah, it's hard, and particularly now, but you can do that. I've done it, others have done it, and you can essentially create the life of your dreams. And I believe that's what many of you are doing here right now. You're here because you're creating the life of your dreams. And Drupal is a big part of it. But what makes these times interesting, according to Tom Feremsky, a friend of mine and colleague in Silicon Valley, and colleague in Ad Hocnium actually as well, is that all organizations are media companies. That's kind of a weird statement maybe for some of you, but let me show you why. Anyone know Leffe? Great, great beer. I love this beer. We don't get it, I think, in the proper balance when they ship it overseas to us, because I love drinking it more here. But look, they've got recipes up here. They actually have beer tasting. They have a way for you to actually teach how to pour the different Leffes in different glasses. They're providing educational content. Look at Greenpeace. Look at the White House today. Bugaboo Stroller Company. Bugaboo has this thing on their site which is essentially this walkabout map for day trips. So they can help parents figure out where can they take their stroller that's something interesting, take their kids with them. Look at Ford, what Ford's doing. Now, not only does Ford have this social media portal page here, but they're promoting invisiblepeople.tv. They're engaging in community causes, and they're producing a television show distributed online. And then, of course, look at what ProPeople's doing here. Right? They're covering this conference as journalists. They're providing coverage that somebody told me yesterday that was so invaluable to them because they couldn't be at all the sessions, but they knew that they were going to be covered in live blog, and in fact, they were able to get the information from the session they missed within minutes of it being over. Anyone know Will It Blend?
Yeah.
I figured you did, which is why I'm not showing the video. I'm saving that time. But let me tell you something about Will It Blend that you might not have known. Will It Blend's marketing department is profitable. I'm not talking about the company. I'm talking about the marketing group that's creating the videos. They sell advertising on the back end, but they also charge fees to come out to your company or to your radio station or TV or whatever and blend all your stuff. They did a whole bunch of promotions of sports teams in the U.S. Where a player moved to another city, and they would go in and have that morning zoo radio show program, and they'd bring in all the memorabilia from that player that left, and like when Beckham left Manchester United or something, and they blend all the memorabilia into this big event. It was really, really very funny. But this is the real opportunity to serve that common need. And that common need is thinking about the organizations that are using, that are employing, that are building upon, that are structuring their entire social interactions on Drupal, to think about their needs as they were a media company. Now, of course, we have all sorts of ways of looking at media. I believe that we really have gone through a spectrum of broadcast to interactive to now fully social. Companies have different levels of appetites and willingness to engage, right? And I find generally that's based on how good or how crappy their product is. If they've got a crappy product, they don't want you talking about it, they don't want to talk about it, they just want to keep lying about it on TV. That's a real problem, but we've got to wait till the market corrects itself. And ultimately, the word of mouth, and the more connected we become, the less we're going to see things like that happening out there. The problem is, of course, in times of disruptive change, particularly of this magnitude, people get or feel hurt. I saw a lot of that yesterday in talking to people about what's going on with this, divide between are we going to be a product, are we going to be a framework? What the hell are the designers doing here? Oh my God, let's not do that. But there's a challenge inside of it, and that challenge is fun, right? Remember when Microsoft used to do that to us all the time? Didn't feel very good, did it? So what's that doing to everyone else who wants to be a part of the broader Drupal community? I'll tell you what I'm hearing gives me pause on whether or not I want to use it or not. Because social media is changing the way we relate to each other, the way we relate to the organizations we serve, and the way we relate to the organizations that serve us. And we need to have trust in those organizations. We need to know what that vision is. We need to understand what they stand for, what the goals are. The truth is, though, we can no longer afford to look at the world as us versus them. Because there's this problem with demonizing the other. It's happening right now in the US with politics on healthcare reform and so many other issues. It's happening all over the world. It's been happening, of course, in Israel and so many other places around the world where we see somebody who's different than us and we demonize them right off the bat. We don't find our common ground. We don't create that understanding. The thing is, though, that's how we were taught, that's how we were socialized, that's how we grew up. We grew up with people like us, our parents, or our family members, or our community, told us what was normal, what was good, and what wasn't. We must transcend this. We have to. Which brings me back to the love-hate relationship with Drupal that I have, because when I first met Chris Krug and Boris Mann and Robert Scales and all those guys up at Northern Voice, I was really impressed. I said, this is what we've been looking for. But you have a problem of perception, because my perception was that it was a community platform. That's what people had kind of explained to me. That's how people talked about it. That was the word of mouth about Drupal.